This is my fully customised 2023 SURRON Lite BX, if you can even call it a SURRON anymore. And just over a year ago, I installed an upgraded controller to my SURRON, which was the Torp TC1000. This controller is capable of doubling the power of your SURRON Lite BX, whilst keeping all of the stock features of the bike just on a stock battery. And since then, we've done some even more insane power upgrades to this bike, such as the Torp TM25 motor to be compatible with the Torp TC500, as well as a 72 volt 55 amp hour battery from Electron Cycles. This thing can run mad power, but just when I thought I had enough power with this combination of parts, I still had the urge to need more. That's why in this box from Torp, we have the absolute king of controllers for your SURRON or Talarias. Let's get it open. So opening up the box from Torp Motors, we're going to take a look at what we get with the TC1000. So it looks like we have a replacement bash cover, a brand new 5-plug loom that will take the display from Torp as well as the regen thumb throttle from Torp. Then inside this box is going to be the monster itself. So we do get some grease to fit this controller with, as well as the tools and appropriate hardware that we need to fit the controller. And then lastly, inside of this box is going to be the absolute grail itself. The absolute king, the godfather, the TC1000. As well as the controller and hardware, we also get the installation guide with a few QR codes to help you get started on getting your TC1000 or 500 installed on the bike. And then most importantly, we get the Torp stickers, and they've even added a red sticker along with the black and the white stickers they used to send. So now we've got everything we need to add even more power to this SURRON. Let's start taking a look at getting this TC1000 swapped onto this bike. So before I do any work to the bike, I always like to remove the battery. I remove the battery, being careful of any of the cables and plugs that are in the way. I then like to make sure that the breaker is flicked off, and then I like to put the key in the ignition, turn the bike on without the battery in it, just to make sure all the power is completely drained from the bike. Now the power is completely drained, it's time to take off this old TC500. So we remove the 2 bolts holding on the controller bash plate. Then we can unplug the loom from the bike. Now we can go ahead and remove the power cables and the phase cables coming from the motor. Now the controller is completely ready to be removed off the bike by these 2 bolts in the back of the controller where the battery sits in the bike. So for the people here who don't know the ins and outs of these bikes or how they work, this is the stock SURRON X controller that comes on the bike. This controller is the brains of the bike, and it tells the motor and the battery how to behave. This controller is locked, untunable, and will only make your SURRON do 4.5 kilowatts with the stock battery. And this unit here is the TC500. And like mentioned, this unit is capable of making the stock SURRON battery pull double the power to the SURRON. This controller can upgrade your SURRON from 4.5 kilowatts in sports mode up to 7.3 kilowatts or 8.6 kilowatts, depending what stock SURRON battery you have. The stock SURRON batteries range from 32 amp up to 40 amp, and if you have the 38 amp hour, that will make this controller pull 8.6 kilowatts. If you have any of the other amp hours, it will do 7.3 kilowatts with this controller. As well as bypassing the battery, this controller is capable of making the motor do 500 phase amps, which is plenty of torque for wheelies and plenty of torque for off-road aggressive riding. You'll never get bored of the torque that this controller is capable of making your stock SURRON do. And this is the TC1000, which is the big daddy over the Torp TC500. If you're using the upgraded Torp motor like I'm using, this controller is capable of making your SURRON do 25 kilowatts with a 72 volt battery. But with the TC1000, this controller is capable of making a bike do up to 50 kilowatts depending what setup you have. My setup isn't even close to pulling that much power. I'm limited by the battery and the motor, but it's nice to know that my controller can handle that. As well as the extra kilowatts, this controller, the TC1000, can pull 1000 phase amps, hence the TC1000. This doubles the phase amps compared to the Torp TC500, and if you don't know what phase amps are, that is basically the power, the acceleration and the pull that your SURRON will have. This is essentially going to double the torque even further on my SURRON. So with it punching a bit more power than the TC500, it is slightly bigger, but only slightly. And Torp have actually swapped the side that the power cables go on this controller. So on the TC1000, the power cables go on the left as you face the controller, and as you face the controller on the TC500, they go on the right. So the TC500 was made for the SURRON Lite B, and the TC1000 was made for the SURRON Ultra B, but it's also compatible with the SURRON Lite B, and I think both controllers are also compatible on Talarias and other bikes with upgraded aftermarket motors. Just check the compatibility first. So for the first steps to get the TC1000 installed onto the SURRON, Torp do now send dielectric grease to put inside of the controller. They didn't used to send this with the TC500, and Torp do show special instructions on how to apply this grease. This grease needs to be applied inside of this plug. So with no hesitation, we go ahead and start putting this dielectric grease inside the Torp plug like instructed by Torp. This is going to help keep water out of this connection. Now we can take the brand new loom provided with the controller. Now you can plug it into the controller, but make sure it's in correctly by hearing a click. Next we can take the 2 shorter screws provided and start screwing the controller into the bike. With the controller secured to the bike, now we can start putting the phase cables in. These are the yellow, green and blue cables. These are the cables which go to the motor. We can also bolt on the positive and the negative power cables. The next step is to plug in every connector on the loom, again making sure that we're hearing a click to make sure it's properly seated. Then finally we can install the bash plate for the controller by using the 2 long bolts provided by Torp. And although it's a tight squeeze, make sure all those connectors are in there nicely. And just like that, that's the TC1000 installed on the bike, ready for a rip. And with that said, let's get on this bike and give it a good test ride. I am so excited to see how it performs with this TC1000 in it. And this bike is an absolute monster with the 72 volt upgrade we did in it. Obviously that added a hell of a lot of power. And now to be adding even more with the TC1000, I am excited to get into this. Before I get into any real testing, I just need to mention how easy these controllers are to install. Even with no experience, it is literally a 20 minutes to half an hour job uninstalling either the stock or your old controller, depending on what controller you've got, and installing a Torp controller. It is plug and play and it is a bolt off, bolt on job. It is literally that simple. The Torp controllers are compatible with every stock feature of the SURRON. So that means you can use your stock display. Even though I've got the upgraded Torp display, you can use your stock display. You do not lose any features at all when upgrading to a Torp controller. So even with things like the crash sensor, the kickstand sensor, all those sorts of things, you are keeping those features. So when you're upgrading from a stock controller to a Torp controller, even with the stock battery, you are giving your bike a chance to double the power. And when you go from the stock to the TC500, it is a massive difference. You really do notice the difference. But obviously we've recently upgraded to the 72 volt battery. I had to see what power we could push by putting the TC1000 on this bike. And so again, like mentioned, we have now doubled the phase amps of this bike. Before I was able to set it at 500 phase amps. On the app now, I can set it to 800 phase amps with the ability of actually pushing more. These are estimated powers. So you will find that when you get on the bike, give it a rip and go and look at the recorded data, you will find that you're pulling a little bit more than actually what you can set the bike at. And obviously, as well as those double phase amps, we are now capable of running up to 50 kilowatts on some sort of setup. My setup at the minute is not capable of doing anywhere near that sort of kilowattage. My setup at the minute with the Torp TM25 is rated for 25 kilowatts. We can push just a little bit more than 25 kilowatts. At the minute, we're running at 9 kilowatts and it's still hella quick enough. Plenty of power. At this much power, I still don't feel like I need more, and that's running at 500 phase amps. So I will put a screenshot of my setup in eco mode right now that I'm running now, and then as well as eco mode I will put daily and sport mode, so you will see all of those settings I'm running. If I've got it correct, I'm running 9 or 10 kilowatts in eco, then I'm running 15 in daily, and then I'm running up to 20 in sport. Okay, so no messing around now. We're going to get straight into it. We're going to up the motor current phase amps. So we went from 500 phase amps before, which is what I was running on the TC500 and what I've just been running in the video. We're now going to be going to 700 phase amps. That's on eco, daily and in sport. So eco, daily and sport, still eco 9 kilowatts, daily is 14 kilowatts and sport is 20 kilowatts. So stepping up a little bit each time. There's still room for improvement. So without further ado, let's put the phone in the pocket and hit it at 700 phase amps at 9 kilowatts in eco. Oh my god. Literally effortless. 50 mile an hour just like that, and that was mainly wheeling. Oh my god. The bike is a rocket. I mean, it was mad enough with the TC500 and the 72 volt, obviously with the Torp motor to handle the brunt force of everything, but it's just insanity now. Okay, so as fun as eco is, we like more power, so we're going to go into daily. It's 14 kilowatts I think, Wow. Oh my god. It's 50 mile an hour, 60 mile an hour. And like I say, I know that speedo is accurate. I calibrated it against the GPS multiple times, so I know that that is true. There's no faking it, there's no false in it. Let's see if she can knee knock. Oh, of course she can. Too easy. Oh, I love more power. It's the thing about having a SURRON, you always want more, and although this seems like a lot to me now, give it 6 months and I'll still want more. Speaking of more, straight into sport mode, 20 kilowatts, 700 phase amps. Oh, that's half throttle. That is full throttle. Oh my god, she sat at 60 so easily. We even hit 61 mile an hour then. 61 mile an hour, and again, I'm set up for torque. Field weakening is nowhere near as much as it could be. I could max out that field weakening and we're hitting 80 mile an hour. Definitely hitting 80 mile an hour. This power is just insanity. I keep saying it, but it really is. Once you feel it on a bike, especially when I've anticipated this for coming up to 2 years now. Well, yeah, literally 2 years. I knew when I bought this SURRON, I had every intention of fully building this bike out, customizing everything, putting a bigger battery in it, and gaining as much power and speed as possible. And it has taken me 2 years to get to this point. I work a very standard job, obviously with YouTube on the side. I've had sponsors give me parts, which has been a massive help. Torp being one of them. Torp has supported me throughout. Torp were my first sponsor on the channel, sending me the TC500. I then put the Torp TM25 motor in, which I bought myself, but Torp did give me a nice little discount. Now we've got the TC1000, courtesy of Torp, in this bike, and it is insane. And I can't lie, I have no idea when I'm actually going to need this much power. For a start, everyone I ride with has stock batteries, so I'm pulling way too much power for them already. Nobody's going to be able to keep up with me at all. Even when you're riding tracks or doing jumps, this power is just, it's 450 style. It's on a tiny little electric bike that is going to fly when you hit a jump at 40-50 mile an hour. You are going to boot it. So I have no idea when we're going to use this power. But in reality, it doesn't matter about how much power you are running. It's just knowing that you've got the capability of running that power and running it comfortably. Oh my god, that is definitely enough to throw you off the bike, as I nearly found out. Oh my gosh. That is a full throttle run. I can feel the bike shaking with power. This is insane. But I think before we end the video, we've got to up it to maximum power. We've got to see what this bike can really do. So we're going to go back to the Torp app. We're going to go straight into daily. We're going to ignore eco because that's far too powerless for us. We're going to stick it into 800 phase amps on 14 kilowatts. And then we're also going to put to 800 phase amps in sport, but we're going to up it. I'm capable of pulling 26.5 kilowatts on this controller, battery and motor setup right now. But I'm actually going to limit that down to about 23 kilowatts because I don't like maxing out the battery, especially when it's that powerful. So then finally taking a look at some of the data from the app. Currently we have only pulled 630 phase amps. I've not even pulled near the maximum amount of phase amps yet. That is insane. We've done 21.9 kilowatts and we've done 61 mile an hour. I'm actually going to up the field weakening now to 100 amps, which is when it kicks in and says that there's a warning, but 100 amps field weakening, that should help us with the top speed. So flicking it back down into daily, time to see what sort of change those settings have made. Oh, it just makes me giggle with excitement. This is ridiculous. I am scared of this bike 100%. Jesus Christ. 61, 64, 66. Oh, 66 mile an hour. That is at 14 kilowatts. That is not even near maximum power. This bike is a beast. The torque and the pull it has is just mental. Most of these times that I'm ripping this throttle, I'm not even going near half throttle at all either. When I'm pulling that throttle, I'm going to quarter to half at most. Full throttle it's not too much, but I feel like you have to gradually build it up. So full throttle, it it just spins. It literally just spins. I feel like full throttle is just going to completely throw me off this thing. That is dangerous. Right, enough messing about again. Sport mode, 23 kilowatts, 800 phase amps. Oh my god. Oh my god. We're doing 66. That was 69 and I got scared. 69. Whoa. So we know we're pulling 70 mile an hour easily. And a lot of torque. That wheel lifts at 40 mile an hour. I can't breathe. That is a lot of power. No way. This thing is ridiculous. Okay, another power run. Full throttle. You can hear that motor spinning so fast. Oh my god. Whoa. Jesus Christ. This is it's not a toy anymore. I don't care if anyone says a SURRON is a toy. Maybe when it's stock, but when you upgrade it to this much power, this is not a toy anymore. Should probably use my regen thumb throttle a bit more than my actual brakes as well. So additionally to the Torp controllers, you can buy the Torp displays. There is 2 versions available, a bigger colour version screen and a smaller Egg Rider style screen. That looks safe. You can also get the regen thumb throttle, which is regenerative braking. For people who don't know, you press that and it's like engine braking that you get in a car, or you can get on a motorbike when you let off the throttle. This will then put power from the motor back into the battery, so you do save a little bit of power, and also you save on brake pads. And so what are the prices of these controllers? How much are they going to set you back? How much is it going to hurt the bank account to have this much fun on your SURRON? Well, without any of the other upgrades like the motor or the battery, for the controllers, for the TC500, it's 800 euros, which equates to around £700, but then by the time you pay for shipping and by the time you pay for import duties, if you order from Torp's website, it then comes to around 800 to £850, which is still an absolute bargain of a price to be doubling the power of your stock SURRON. Most of the controllers that you buy for the SURRON are going to be well above that. So what about the TC1000? Well, the TC1000 is priced at around 1,000 euros, if not 1,100 euros. So again, converting that to pounds, you're looking at around 900 to 1,000 pounds, plus your import duties and your shipping. So all in, you're looking at around 1,150 to 1,200 pounds. But that is going to give your SURRON the ability to fly like mine. And it is insane. So after all that excitement, I think it is definitely safe to say that the TC1000 is a huge upgrade to the TC500. The TC500 has been amazing for the year that I have used it, for the thousands of miles that I've used it, and Torp themselves are absolutely brilliant with their customer service. Whenever there is a problem or a question to be asked, Torp are straight back with an answer, and more time they'll sort out the problem for you absolutely hassle free. So if you do want to go take a look at any of Torp's products, the link to the Torp website will be down below in the description of this video, along with any discount codes that I may be able to get you, so you can save a little bit of money if you do decide you're going to go ahead and order a Torp controller for yourself. With that being said and done, we are still nowhere near done with this bike. There is more upgrades to do, there is more testing to do. We still haven't even done a proper top speed run on this bike at maximum power, so that is all to come. So if you are new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, leave a comment down below. I'm Matt Francis signing out. Peace.